Hey, it's Clay at claytrader.com. This is my top 10 stocks as we head into Monday, February 26th. This will be a technical analysis breakdown. So if you're someone that uses charts within your trading, or maybe you're just interested in learning more about charts and how they can be used as a tool to help make good decisions as a trader, this will be a video for you. First off, a couple of clarifications. Number one, the candlestick that you see right there will still be moving around. That is because the market's still open for a small amount of time. But I like to do these videos when the market is still open because sometimes we can capture some really interesting late day price movement. And then second, I'll be using the 30-minute time frame, meaning each one of these candlesticks here represents 30 minutes worth of time. So ticker symbol number one, AXTI. Very nice mover today. And now we have ourselves a good solid pattern here headed into Monday. So let's map out this pattern here. First key part of the pattern is this resistance area, which sits right up here at $4.40. You can see several times today. Yes, the price did, spike up above there, but after the price fell back below it, acted as resistance, resistance, resistance. So I'm not saying that level can never be broken. I'm just saying it's become very apparent that that's where the sellers are currently hanging out at right now. So that's the top part of the pattern. And then as far as the other part of the pattern, we have this support trend line like that. Let me change that to green to represent support, and then I just keep it one color to hopefully make it easier to see as far as the pattern is concerned. So we have our resistance, we have our support, have the big move up like there. If you golfers out there try to make a little bit more visual, put the golf hole down here. We have ourselves a nice bull pennant pattern. So while nothing is guaranteed, is it plausible to think that if the price can come back up here and then get a break up through that level, that break in of itself could create additional buying pressure? That is certainly a plausible scenario. So if you like bull pennant patterns, you like stocks down below $10, definitely keep an eye on it. Next one here, NKLA. Very, very impressive way to end the week as things were looking pretty rough on Thursday as the price made this nasty move down, and then even from this morning. But then all of a sudden the brakes were slammed on and the bulls really came to life, and up the price is gone, which now brings about the valid question of, yes, very, very nice bounce, no doubt about it, but is there any sort of true power behind this price movement? And I have no idea, but by using charts, we can make answering that question very straightforward. And in my mind, it all revolves around this area right here at 71 cents. Why is 71 cents so important? And I'm not saying this will occur, but just for explanation's sake, if the price were to come down to 71 and then just continue on down, what would that be doing to the price? That would quite literally be putting the price right back inside of this area where it just was. Or in other words, that would imply that the price made a great move and then went right back to where it started, which is not exactly the sign of a true strong move. But to be fair, nothing can go straight up either. So maybe the price comes down here, but the difference being behaves like that and then curls itself upwards. Now all of a sudden, what do you have? Well, you'd have a set of lows right there. You'd have these lows down there. And if you envision each one of those lows as stair-steps, now you have stair-steps making progress in the upward direction. And that's the name of the game. Nothing goes straight up. You just want to see progress. How is progress being defined? By staying up above 71 cents. So yes, very nice move today, but let's see if it can make progress next week. Next one, MNPR. Did this one a few days ago, and the main dynamic here that I talked about in that video was the resistance level right there. And you can see this morning, got the break above it. Nice move up. Came back down, found some support at that level, and then a slight upwards bounce. So far so good. Once you see breakouts occur, especially above trend lines, you want to see the price stay above that trend line, and that's what's been occurring here. So that's a good sign. And just to make this a little easier, though, the most straightforward way to just gauge the health of the continued movement is just to watch that purple line right there, which on my chart denotes the very well-known, the very famous 50-period moving average. Keyword there being moving. So as time goes by, that line is going to move itself higher and higher. So it's essentially like an overall trend line that draws itself for you. In fact, I like to call moving averages trend lines for lazy people. If you don't feel like drawing a trend line, then this trend line will draw itself for you. So point being that from an overarching standpoint, as long as the price stays above that purple line, the bulls are in full control of the chart. In terms of areas of resistance, main level to watch now moving forward, going to be right here around that $1.57 mark. You can see back here is essentially right where it got rejected, and then a little spike above, actually rejected right there, slight spike, and then it went back to acting as resistance, little miniature spike above there. So point being right around that level, give or take a few pennies in each direction, is going to be that main battleground moving forward. But higher lows have been put into place. That's always a good sign. So watch that purple line, and let's see if the price can get a break above that area of resistance next week. Next one, RIVN, and I talked about this one yesterday. Very popular stock, and even yesterday started to show that, maybe, just maybe, these higher lows after a very popular stock getting beat down. Maybe that was some sort of indicator that this thing wanted to turn itself around. It was not. Now, the chart was polite about it. The chart just flat out gapped down. What would have been worse is if the price had acted like it wanted to be strong and then made that move. But it did not do that. It was polite. It was like, nope, that's false hope. We're just going to gap down and let everybody know that these higher lows didn't mean anything. But the same general premise still applies, and that is popular stock getting absolutely even more so destroyed. And when you have these sorts of scenarios, you got a lot of people looking for any excuse at all to buy. And from a trading standpoint, it can produce some very interesting situations. And right now, what I'm wondering about is there going to be some sort of double bottom right here around that $10.10 mark? You can see that that's where it found some support right there. And that's a big question mark, at least in my mind. Can it find some support right there? Now, maybe you're short and saying, well, no, I'm more interested. If that thing breaks, I think this thing is going to continue on down. I totally see where you're coming from. But there's also going to be people that, like I said, more than valid to think, I think this thing could potentially bounce. It did before. But that's why risk management matters, because somebody's going to be right, somebody's going to be wrong. But the moral of the story here is that $10.10 looks like it's going to be a very important level headed into next week. So we'll see if this beatdown is finally over. And even if it's just a dead cat bounce, from a trading standpoint, that could still provide plenty of opportunity. Next one here, ticker symbol AMC. Nice bounce today as it headed back upwards. Started off the day not good at all as it broke down below that pink line there, the 200-period moving average, which I talked about in the previous video. And check it out. The power of charts didn't hit my support level that I'd mapped out previously exactly, but got very close and then got the bounce back upwards. And then once again, the power of charts didn't hit it exactly, but you can see right there at that red line is where it got rejected. But the problem was not necessarily the red line, but that purple line, the 50-period moving average. So yes, nice movement here, but there's still a lot of work that needs to be done. And you have now two key areas of resistance that the price is going to have to deal with. Number one resistance, that 50-period moving average, and then number two resistance right there at the 455 mark. If the price does get rejected back down, then ideally speaking, you want to see the price hold above that pink line there, but I would definitely consider the must-hold level down there at that 427 mark. So no doubt about it, from how it started to how it ended, good solid day, but there's still definitely work that needs to be done. Real quick, want to take a break and personally invite you to get signed up for this free live online webinar that I'm offering next week. So if you've been enjoying what you've seen and you want to learn more about this tool, how it can and should be used to build consistency and manage risk, then definitely get signed up for the free webinar. If you're watching on YouTube, there's a link down in the description box you can use to sign up. Or if you're watching at my website, there's an area right there on the page that you can use to sign up. So like I said, if you've been enjoying, then definitely get signed up for the free webinar. Next one, ticker symbol PHUN, and same general idea of what we talked about with RIVN. I don't want to call it a cult stock, but it's got a pretty good following and people looking for any reason at all to buy, and this thing got really beat down today. But what makes this interesting is it gapped down, and then it started to drop and drop and drop, but ultimately it did not just keep bleeding. It has shown that that it's leveled out and now starting to head back upwards, which does bring about the more than valid question of, okay, maybe the selling's done, maybe this thing is getting ready to turn itself around, which is what makes this level right here, in my opinion at least, very interesting from a trend line standpoint. Can the price get up through that trend line right there? If it does, of course, no guarantees, but it becomes a lot more reasonable that this thing could pick up just that much more momentum. And who knows, maybe get some sort of bigger bounce where the price comes up here and tries to close this gap up here, which from where it is down here, from a percentage standpoint, that could be a very nice move. But one step at a time. Let's just first see if it can at least continue to go sideways and then get a preferably high volume break of that level right there. If the price does come back down, then nothing fancy here in terms of areas of support, just simply a question of where did that bleeding stop today, and that was down there at the 17-cent mark, which occurred during that opening 30 minutes of the day, where you can see it bounce from right there. But overall, popular stock getting an absolutely beat down. Can there be some sort of dead cat bounce next week? We'll see what happens. Next one, SOXS. Been tracking this one very closely and talked about it yesterday, how the price had, started to at least show that maybe it wanted to level out here, and then opening 30 minutes, very nice bounce off that level. And I want to make one little adjustment here. That way we have more data, and it seems as though the main area of resistance is definitely going to be right up there at about $4.17. Not a coincidence that the high of today just happened to be essentially where the high was during the opening 30 minutes of Thursday right there. So if this thing does try to continue back upwards, everybody and their brother's uncle is going to be watching $4.17. And that's where you can start to get some potential self-fulfilling prophecies, where when enough people are watching the same levels and wondering the same thing, especially breakout players, if it breaks above that level, then you're going to have breakout traders saying, oh, look, that's a breakout. Oh, I'm a breakout trader. Oh, I'm supposed to buy. and they buy, and then that just creates momentum, and then maybe you bring in some momentum traders. As I've said, no guarantees, but by no means some sort of irrational thought process to have. So 417, in my opinion, very, very interesting level going to next week. As far as supports are concerned, preferably speaking, it would, the chart would look the strongest if it could hold above that area of support right there around the $4 mark. But if it doesn't hold, then definitely the very, very important level down there at the $3.89 mark. But all things considered, interesting day today, and now all eyes watching 417 next week. Next one, TSLA Tesla, and overall, not the greatest day, but big picture-wise, not a whole lot to report. And what do I mean by that is essentially the price is in, for lack of better terms, a sideways channel. Now, it's not a perfect sideways channel, but if we just use a couple levels that have been mapped out and talked about, then if we use the top part of this channel right up here at 198.75, you can see that this was a former area of support, but classic example, former area of support now acting as resistance, and then resistance. So 198.75 going to be that main level. And then from the overarching supports standpoint in the bottom of the channel, right here, that pink line, which you now know is that 200 period moving average, has, a very nice bounce right there. So really and let me just convert this all to one color. So we have kind of this, and then we have this coming across like this. Not perfect, but that's essentially what I mean by overall nothing really happened. From an overall something happening, well, that would imply that either the bears push to the downside or the bulls push up to the upside. But until then, it's kind of just, a choppy mess, just kind of back and forth. So yes, today individually, not a great day, started off and then dropped down. So I'm not saying that, today individually, nothing happened worthwhile. Yeah, it was actually a pretty crazy day, especially when you factor in that opening 30 minutes. What a tease. Started off, acted like it wanted to be all strong, and then just basically down the rest of the day. But like I said, taking a step back from an overall standpoint, still within that sideways channel. So keep an eye on that dynamic next week. Next one, NIO, and this thing continues to get just absolutely beat down. You can see that it's not quite at its low, so I want to map out this level here. But, we're having to go back quite a bit of the ways in the chart's history here, with the next main area of support being right down there at $5.30. So just keep in mind that's where this is coming from several weeks ago back there. So I'll zoom back in here, but just keep in mind, and I don't even know if that green, okay, there it is. It's staying on screen there. So you now know where that green line is coming from. So keep an eye on that as far as the support is concerned. In terms of areas of resistance, main level in the very near term, just going to be where this little miniature bounce stopped today, and that was right there at $5.53. But then from more of an overarching standpoint, just watch that purple line there. Again, the 50-period moving average. So as time next week goes by, that line is just going to continue to move itself downwards and behave as, not an uptrending trend line, but in this situation, a downtrending trend line. But no doubt about it, very, very rough past couple weeks here for NIO, and a very rough way to end the week. Next one, TQQQ, which is an ETF that measures the NASDAQ market. So if you believe the NASDAQ market as a whole is going to go up, this one will also go up, and it just allows you access at a lower price point, which makes it one of the more popular ETFs out there. And all things considered today, sort of kind of like a Tesla. Nothing really happened overall. It's still just kind of chopping back and forth within this sideways channel. But yeah, today you could have had a really bad day. If you're a day trader and you bought right there and your plan was to buy and sell within, 7 minutes, well then yeah, from that standpoint, not a good day as it completely pulled back. But all things considered, price held up just fine. And in fact, the one thing, no, actually I'll leave it up to you. You could totally leave it right here, which is what I'm going to do. But if you wanted to make an adjustment up to the highs, that works too. But, right here at $60 and right around 63 cents, certainly going to be a main level where, yes, temporary break here, but does seem to be that is the area where the momentum really continues to die. Because I say that because when the price broke below it, in fact, let me just zoom in here so you can see it even better. But the candle here after it broke down, you can see even right there, tried to bounce up through there and once again got rejected. So certainly a key battleground here. But all things considered, right up around that 60-65 mark, going to be the main area of resistance. Ideal level of support right there at 59.40, which so far so good, doing a great job of holding strong. But if the price does drop down below there, then keep an eye on both these moving averages, which you now know, 50-period moving average and 200-period moving average, main areas of support. So that wraps up the top 10 list. Again, if you like what you saw here, then definitely go get signed up for that free live webinar next week. It'll be Thursday, February 29th. At 7 p.m. Eastern time, so I hope to see you there. As far as these top 10 videos are concerned, if you enjoy this format, then do a couple things for me. Hit that like button, leave a comment down below. Let me know what you traded today. Give me your watch list for tomorrow, but those things really do help out. So go get signed up for that free webinar. Hit that like button, leave a comment below, and have a great weekend.